Hello and welcome to a new edition of Designed for the Times. I'm your host, Richard Christopher Scuderi. Well, today was an awfully interesting day. As many of you know from following me on social media, I now have my own production company called 52 in Blue Productions. And we have our first 4 members, and one of those members is with me in studio today, and her name is Rachel Fish. Rachel, welcome to our program.
Thank you for having me.
That's great. So tell us just a little bit about you, and then we're going to talk about what we did our show about today, because our show is all about design. So you're in a sort of a very interesting program at your high school. You have graduated,
Yes.
but there's a television program. So tell us about this television program.
So my junior year of high school, I decided to join, it's called HGTV. So what we do, we go to all the home sports events, we record them, and we have people out in the field, and then after we do interviews with the coaches and some of the players, and that's like what my job was. I was actually one of the first girls to interview the coaches and players, so I kind of like started that at Central, and I was the first girl to do
Central, your
it.
high school?
Yes, my high school. So I did it my senior year, so I really love it, and you also get paid for it, which is nice. So I learned so much from it, and I'm so glad that I did it.
Wow,
So.
terrific. So you want to be a reporter.
Yes.
Your goal is
yes,
to be a reporter.
for sports.
Right, and you're going to start college now in the
Yes,
fall.
I move in next Sunday.
Wow.
So very soon.
Terrific. That's one of the things about having interns. With what I do, you get close to people, you get to know them, and then they're gone.
Yep.
But many of my interns have gone on to successful things. In fact, Jesse, who was with me for the past 2 years, I told you right before we started to tape today, is now working at CBS News in New York.
So exciting.
So things do get happen.
I'm excited to see what the future holds.
So our broadcast today is all about lighting and a millennial perspective on modern lighting. You know, design, as we've talked about before, has changed a lot. It's gotten a lot simpler, more contemporary, and industrial looking.
Yes.
So lighting has become increasingly more important. So what we did today is we did our first shoot. We haven't done that yet on the program in year 2. We did an on-location shoot, and we went to Flemington Fan and Lighting, where I also have my location, my store, and we shot all the new buys. We had gone to a lighting show down in Dallas, and we came back with the newest style lighting, and then we took some shots, right? You helped me take some shots, and we're going to talk about some of the stuff that we see, and I'm curious from a millennial perspective, from a younger person, what you found appealing, what you liked, and so on. So we have some videos, right? You shot some. Did you do the videos?
Yes,
or did you
I did the videos.
You shot videos, right? And Maddie Atkinson, who's also part of our team at 52 in Blue Productions, she did the still shots.
Yes.
Okay, so why don't we bring up some images and we'll take a look at what comes up first. Okay, so the first image that we see here is a good application of the return of gold. So this is sort of a modern adaptation of a Sputnik style fixture from the 1960s. It has the new gold, but the new gold, as you know, is not shiny, is it?
No.
It's a matte gold. And these kind of remind me, if you go to Lincoln Center, those beautiful light fixtures that they see, and those sort of branches in that wonderful new matte gold, which is making a comeback. I think we have a video that goes with it that describes it well. Do we have the video there? Okay. Do we have the audio with that? If we don't have the audio with that, that's sort of an aerial shot of the fixture. As you can see, the light bulbs sort of descend out on the ends. So I can narrate the video if we don't have if the audio is not there.
Makes a statement, and it's a showstopper. It's an eye-opener. Okay.
Very good. So that's the first one. That's the Sputnik-like fixture that's done in the matte gold. And it has LED bulbs on the end, which were great. What do you think of that, Rachel, from a perspective? It's really a ta-da piece. I don't think you'd put it in your first apartment, would you?
No, definitely not. But I honestly love the gold. I feel like it's definitely making its comeback.
You know, it's funny. People my age, when I talk them into gold, because we had gold, like when we were starting out, they're like, oh no, not gold again. We did gold already. We changed everything.
I like the gold.
But the younger people seem to like gold better.
Yes.
Tell me why you like gold better.
I just feel like it looks very elegant in houses, and I just feel like it attracts the eye better than
it has
any other pieces.
more pop, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, let's take a look at our second image. Okay, so this is a big thing that's trending in lighting and design in general, and that is pops of white colored glass. Now this happens to be a fixture that's colored white colored glass, and it is quite striking. It's not for everybody. You really have to have a contemporary minimalist element to make this work. So I can imagine in maybe a charcoal gray or a dark gray room with very clean lines that this would be the showstopper, this would be the piece. So I think we have some video narrated by Terry, who's the store manager at Flemington Fan and Lighting.
Okay, your glass fixtures are becoming very, very popular also. Come in different, like clear, comes in white. Years ago, Murano glass was a very, very expensive type of fixture to have. And this is coming very close to that Murano glass look, but more in the modern feel instead of that old-fashioned feel. So lighting has really come like full circle where they're bringing more modern into that old traditional styles. Very pretty piece.
Good. Okay, so let's talk about this piece because this has a lot going on.
Yes.
So it's, first of all, it's absolutely a contemporary piece. It's not a transitional piece, it's a contemporary piece. So this is not necessarily for everybody. This is somebody who has a contemporary home, probably simple lines, and wants to make a statement through lighting. Which is really the industrial look, is to make the statement through lighting, right? To make something look through that. Now, what Terry was trying to tell us in the piece is that this is a glass piece. So this piece could have been done in clear glass or colors. There are a lot of colored glass, and that's something that we're seeing as a trend as well, but particularly white because it pairs so well with the dark grays.
Yeah.
What do you think of this piece?
I honestly don't mind the white.
Okay.
It's definitely something I'm not used to seeing, but
Because it's really new, right? It's up and
new,
coming.
Yes. I kind of like mixed feelings about it because I can definitely picture it like in someone's house.
Right.
Maybe even like how we were talking about blues before, like with the dark navy, like it would definitely like add a pop in the room.
Yeah, the white
So,
with the navy would be
yes.
striking.
Yeah, so I feel like it's doable. It's definitely something I can picture in someone's house.
Where do you think in somebody's house would you do something like this? I think, to me, an entry foyer, because it's such a grand piece. So maybe if they had a grand entry foyer with a dark color background on the walls, that would be a good place for something like that.
Yeah, I was thinking that, or even over like a dining room table.
Right, but you'd have to write the scale.
Yeah,
you couldn't do that with 8-foot ceilings.
No, definitely not.
Absolutely not. Let's move on to the next image. Okay, so this is a little hard to discern because when you shoot in a lighting store, there's a lot around. This is a new adaptation of a crystal chandelier, a modern take on a crystal chandelier. Let's have Terry tell us a little bit more about this new style of crystal.
Crystal is making a big comeback. People like the crystal look, but they don't like that old traditional style. So now they're making it a little bit more modern. The finish is, it's like a silver where it's antiqued. Very, very pretty piece. Again, you could dress it up, you could dress it down. But this is the new look in crystal, not your traditional everyday crystal.
So let's talk a little bit about that, because that's quite daring. That's not really for everybody, but crystal is making such a comeback.
Yes.
People are hungry for crystal. You know why? Because the prisms of light that are reflected are beautiful in crystals. Those cuts, you don't get that in other types of things. So crystal is making a comeback. But when you think of like a crystal chandelier, don't you think of something more old-fashioned?
Yes,
Right.
definitely. I don't know how I feel about the new like modern, because I'm so used to seeing like the old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned with the arms, right, and the crystals
yes.
going down, like your
I love
parents or
that.
grandparents
Yes.
have. But this is a new adaptation of it. So when you take a look at this, it's kind of funny. This is paired with silver. I've seen crystal paired with gold and crystal paired with silver. I like crystal paired with silver finishes better because it's more reflective.
Yeah, I would
and
say so too.
it comes together well. If that same fixture was done in gold, even the new matte gold, there would be a visual break. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah, yeah,
it would
yeah.
be almost stripy looking, so
Yeah.
that's something
Okay.
different.
Yep.
Okay, let's go to the next image. Okay, so that's a close-up look of that same image when we take a look at the crystals. Okay, so our next image is something that's quite striking, not for everybody, very contemporary. I'm not sure if we have the video that goes along with this. Let's say, okay.
Making a big comeback, but not your traditional old grandmother's crystal. The cuts are different. They're more modern, they're colder looking, they're more sparkly, but making a big comeback. This could be used as an island piece. It could be used as a dining room table piece. It's very versatile.
So this piece has a lot going on that I want to talk about. One of the things that I want to talk about with this piece is just the shape of it, that it's linear, that is, it's a long piece. And what started to happen about 6 or 7 years ago with design is that everything started to go linear. So if you were doing a backsplash before the change, often people did backsplashes that were tiles that were 4 by 4 or 6 by 6 on top of each other. Then a change occurred when things got a little bit more contemporary, and the tiles became longer and narrower. So when you did backsplashes, you started to see subway tile. When you saw the showers, you started to see subway tile. When you started to see images of everything, the images went from square to long, elongated. So eventually that trickled down to lighting. And if you look at this piece, which really isn't for everybody, and today's show really focuses more on your generation and in more modern style. We will do other shows with more traditional things as well. So this particular piece, again, is linear and long. So one of the things that Terry had said is that this would be a great piece over an island. Most people today that have the newer houses have a perimeter of cabinetry, and then they have a center island. So a lot of a lot of attention is placed to what's above the island, not only for the task lighting, but also for beauty, to create something beautiful. So with a look like this, with that long bar, that would be a good placement for a certain type of kitchen. Not a country kitchen wouldn't look good with this, but if you had a lacquer cabinet or something that was very on the modern side, that could work very well with it being a linear piece. Now this piece is crystal, but not like the crystals I showed you in the last one. These almost look like stalactites, like if you went into a cave and there were pieces, they were like shards of like crystal or ice. And that's what this is supposed to look like. All those pieces, every single one of those had to be placed in individually. But what this does do a good job at is it reflects the light. So all those different long crystals, which are modern, have cuts in them, so they really refract, I should say, the light, and they bring a lot of light to a space. Now, if we were to do this in a dining room, what do you think? What do you think like the dining room would kind of look like? Any thoughts? Like I see this clearly over a glass top table.
Yes, I would definitely say that, because I'm trying to think of like your
what it would go with,
thing.
right?
It's definitely going to be hard to pair
I
that
can't
with
see it.
something.
Yeah, like if like a cherry wood dining table, that would look terrible. I think you probably could do a black painted table, but I definitely see this over a glass top table, because it would continue the light and the reflection.
Definitely.
And then definitely probably a fabric kind of a chair. It could work in a lot of environments. I think when you have a chandelier that has all crystals, it does better when the walls are a darker color. Because if this is, even as you can see the shot in the, where it is, and it's in the front of the lighting store near where my desk is, you can see that because you see through it, you don't really get the definition of the piece. So when you have a crystal piece like this, often it pairs better with dark colors, a dark charcoal gray, a dark navy, right? Like Benjamin Moore's Hale Navy would be kind of a nice color to do. But when you're doing a dark color in the dining room, you don't necessarily have to do the whole room in a dark color. Like behind us in set here, you see we have a black drape with sort of a blue light. The bottom can actually be white, and then that's sort of a balance. So with something, with a linear piece like this that's clear, you really want to have something that brings it in a little bit so you can see it. Let's talk about our next image. Okay, so this is what we were talking about, the Cholula glass. Right, the colorful glass. I go on the cruise ships every year. I take a cruise every year in February, and a lot of the cruise ships have an Italian design to them, and often they have the Cholula glass. Now, what's nice about it is it's very colorful. Now, this particular piece is in shades of blues, greens, and pinks. I actually prefer when the fixtures like this are one solid color because I think you appreciate them more. So let's say you would have a collection, you had a collection of blue and white plates. Can you imagine a really pretty room that's a pale gray or a white, and then you had maybe 2 pendants dropped in this in just the blue?
In just the blue, yes, I agree.
It could be
I agree with that.
Don't you think so? And I like the green glass too. In fact, I have an Italian company that visits us once in a while and shows us where in Europe, a lot of the glass is, the piece is one solid color because it makes more of a visual impact. I'm not sure if we have a video, if Terry narrated a video to go with this. Okay.
All right, this piece is a Chihuly look-alike imitation. If you had an original Chihuly, that would be thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. These pieces are very, very popular in your casinos in Las Vegas, in your big hotels, come in all different finishes, all different colors. That happens to be a small piece, but it comes 10 times grander than that. And you can't pick all the colors to match your decor.
So taking a look at that piece, the blue obviously is the most brilliant there. And if you really can define it, there's sort of more of like a cobalt blue, but then there's also sort of a lighter teal blue. Do you see that? And then there's the green, and then there's the pink. So for you, I bet you're a pink girl. I knew before you even said it, you're going to say that the pink glass. So I think the pink really is underutilized here. So if I were going to do something for you, a younger, youthful person, I probably, even if I did it like in sort of a space where we just dropped something in like a family room or like a living room space, just to bring some style into it, something in an all pink venue. And if the walls were painted a shade of gray, the pink and the gray would be awesome.
I love pink. That's what I'm decorating my dorm room, pink
and gray, definitely. So that's kind of nice. Let's see what else we have going here. Okay, so this is an interesting image. Probably not so interesting in the image when you look at it, but there's a lot to this. There's a lot of trends in this piece. And that is that this piece is actually not like the rest so far, because this is what I would call transitional. So it's a traditional take on a classic lantern, like a square lantern, but they've decided to take the glass out, which is becoming more and more popular. People are buying fixtures without glass because they don't have the maintenance of glass. So it's kind of a lot lighter. But what we notice about this fixture is that it's done in 2 distinct different finishes. The outer part of it is done in a painted finish, and it happens to be done in navy blue. And what did I tell you earlier today about navy? Navy is the new hot trend color. And I have to say, I did this about 6 months ago here. We talked about navy and how popular it was. We're starting to see navy in places we didn't see it before, like bathroom vanities done in navy instead of a wood tone or a gray. Center islands done in navy blue. I'm doing a shore house, and we're having the island be navy blue.
Very beachy.
Very beachy, but in a lot of different environments, contemporary, coastal, and so on. Cabinetry done in navy blue, and yes, here in navy blue in a lighting fixture. Who would think of navy blue in a lighting fixture? But it's, if you notice, it's done as a 2-tone, and that's another thing that's trending. So you see the silver finishes, looks like it's a nickel, a polished nickel, and navy, and I think that looks nice together. Actually, I've also seen this fixture done in the gold with the blue, and the gold and the blue looks nice too. It's a different look than the silver.
Definitely.
The silver is a little bit more transitional. The gold kind of makes it more contemporary. Okay, is there a video with this? Okay, let's talk about this piece. This piece is a wonderful example of one of the new styles that's out there, and that is the open lantern. That's something that's truly transitional. So if we take a very traditional lantern that you would see at any period of time in a stairwell, or maybe over a wonderful in a breakfast room, over a kitchen or dining room table, they've removed the glass in this case for a more airy, lighter, open look, and also less maintenance. But what you notice, a couple things that are on trend here, is we use more than one finish. In this case, there's a painted finish, which is navy blue. Navy blue is the hottest trend color right now. It's starting to surpass gray, and you're going to see blue in unusual places like kitchen cabinetry, center islands, and even lighting fixtures. And the final thing about this is, not only does it have a painted finish, but it has dual finishes. Multiple finishes and on one piece are popular, and this has a combination of a nickel, a polished nickel, with a painted look. See, I really like this piece. Now, in my own home, I'm thinking, where could I use something like this? I don't know that it would work in my own home, but very much in a traditional,
Yes,
very traditional house. Can you imagine if you had a breakfast room? I'm working on a house in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and we're putting in a breakfast room that's going to be all glass. Could you imagine if we'd have like a beautiful, what about a floor that's like maybe like a navy blue and white floor with a beautiful round table and upholstered chairs, and that's the light fixture? What would something like that look like?
I feel like that would look really good. The first thing I thought when I saw this was like, I picture a lantern almost being outside.
Right.
So I was like, okay, maybe like that can go outside somewhere. So I feel like it's kind of like versatile.
Like indoor, outdoor, and that's why like a breakfast room would be good.
Yep. That's what I was thinking.
You certainly also could do it at an entry foyer. Let's say you had a foyer that had a beautiful paper on it that had some blue in it, and then tie it into that. The blue is quite nice. Now on film here, it reads a little bit more royal, but it really was a navy blue. It was a darker blue in person.
Definitely.
Okay, let's go on to our next image. So our next image is kind of hard to see, but these are pendants, and pendants are the rage everywhere. People are using pendants, of course, over their center island, but they're using them in all parts of their house. They're using them in dining rooms, they're using them in master bedrooms. Instead of putting a lamp on each night table, they're hanging pendants above them. So pendants are all the rage. Now this particular pendant has a kind of glass that's called seeded glass. I think you guys said something about rain bubbles.
I said it looked like raindrops.
Raindrops, right. So the seeded glass adds another element because pretty much this whole thing is clear because you see through the bulb. So it adds a little bit to the element. And then in this case, because it's clear, the bulb is becoming part of the design. That happens to be an LED bulb, right? So that looks a little bit industrial because the bulb is part of the look because it is clear. But again, it's obstructed. So let's see if there's a little bit of audio on this particular pendant. Here's a wonderful example of a pendant, and pendants are just everywhere. Every person that comes into, every person I meet, every person that comes into the store here is always asking at a minimal for one thing, and that is pendants. And often they're over center islands in a kitchen, and it does make your space look more modern. This happens to be kind of a traditional pendant, but it's been updated because the glass, as you can see here, is actually like a bubble or what's called a seeded glass, and that adds a little visual interest to it. And also this particular pendant has the ever popular new bulbs, the LED bulbs, which last forever and use much less energy. So what do you think about pendants? Do you like the look of pendants?
Yes, I love pendants. I think it looks so pretty for islands. That's like the first thing I picture.
It's like jewelry, right?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So what do you think about instead of having just a plain glass, what do you think about the seeded glass?
I personally like it because I feel like it adds a little like something different, you know, just to like twist it up a little bit. It's not your usual just plain glass. It has like a little like flair to it.
Right. What do you think about the stuff with all the different bulbs now, how interesting they are?
Yes, I think it's good because bulbs are starting to like last longer, so you don't have to change them as often. I think it looks really nice with that.
And doesn't get as hot. There's a lot of advantages to LED. Let's see if we have some more images there to take a look at. We're going down to less than 5 minutes. Okay, this is quite something. This is a piece that's a Quoizel piece, as I recall. That's really a sphere. It's very round. And it sort of has sort of a pave-style crystal that almost looks like it's diamonds, right? So very feminine. I could see this maybe in a master bedroom over the bed, right? In a very dramatic setting. I could definitely see this in like a 2-story foyer.
Yes. Okay.
Definitely going up the stairs, and then perhaps in a dining room. But I like it in a very high
place.
It
definitely needs high ceilings.
Exactly, and I think there's some audio with this one as well.
I like water bottle.
You that tall.
Okay,
let's see what else we have. This is a wonderful piece, sort of a glamour piece that came into the show quite a while ago, actually. But it was the beginning of the trend of things that are more dramatic when it comes to lighting. With the change in styles, where people are doing very simple, minimalist gray and white, sometimes it's the light fixture that's the pop, and that's certainly the case in this. You wouldn't want to compete with this fixture. So this is sort of a Sputnik type fixture. It's also, in a way, it's rounded in a way like a sphere, and then it has multiple dimensions. It's a sort of a modern adaptation of what people are doing with crystals, and sort of almost like a pave pattern. Really different, not for everybody. On the feminine side, it can be very, very glamorous. Now they call. What do you think they call this figure? What is this? What do those things look like to you?
Spirals.
They call that fixture ribbons. Believe it or
Okay,
not, so.
I can see that.
Okay, so this will probably be our last image. We have about 3 minutes left, and this is not for everybody, but
Definitely.
highly, highly popular right now.
I can
if you like,
definitely see that,
if you
yes.
like the industrial look, it has a lot of the things we talked about going for it. First of all, it's linear, right?
Yep.
It's a fixture that's long, so you could do it over a dining room table, a
Or an
kitchen table,
island.
or an island, anything like that. And it has what's called the Edison bulb.
Okay.
So the Edison bulb shows off the filament. So you see that, and there's like a succession of the same image, almost as if it's like a mirror, right?
Okay, yep.
Reflecting upon itself. And there are probably about 8, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8
Yep.
silhouettes. And in the silhouettes of each, now those, that looks like it's wood to me, right?
Yes,
Which is a trend. It's not wood, it's
not,
metal,
yeah.
and it's very, very heavy.
Heavy.
But the piece is supposed to really bring out the look of making something industrial. So the
Okay.
dark metal makes that very industrial. And the Edison bulb, which is prominent as you can see there, makes a bulb. And this Edison bulb, what do you notice about the color with this particular Edison bulb? Because the LED bulbs and the Edison bulbs have different temperatures,
Yeah, okay.
and they have different sort of colors. What do you notice? What do you see about this?
They look more yellow.
Right?
It's not like your normal like LED bulb.
Right. Now, if you really look at this piece, what they tried to do is show different bulbs, so see how it could look. So if you look at the center of the piece, what do you notice about that one?
That one's white.
Right. So you can
Okay.
do it in a lot of different looks.
Yep.
But I don't think the white, the higher Kelvin, the white does as much for it as the gold tone
Yes,
bulb.
I like the gold
because
better.
this piece is actually black metal, but when it hits that Edison bulb, you get some glow or warmth of a
Yes,
gold
okay.
tone. And that softens it a little bit. And what does that make that look like to me? Wood, right?
Yep, definitely.
Looks like wood.
I
I
love
always said it
that.
looks like pieces of like bread that are lined up.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like with the thing
Yeah.
cut out of the middle. And
I
that's
love this,
the thing
yeah.
about that the light fixtures today are more industrial, fun, right? Not
Yes,
so
definitely.
formal.
Okay,
And really
yeah.
a play on what was used before.
Yes, I love this. It makes me like the first thing I think of is it being at like a restaurant or something. Like I feel like it's very like high class almost, but like I can picture someone having it over their island in their kitchen. Like I feel like it's very versatile.
And you know, that's the thing. When you go into these restaurants or these new restaurants, what you see is the
Yes.
industrial lighting,
Yep.
right? It makes you feel like you're in a restaurant. In fact, if you didn't know where you were, you might think, if you didn't see the fixture above it, you might think you're in
Yeah.
a restaurant because everybody's going with that look. It makes it feel like it's hip, right?
Yes,
It doesn't seem like
definitely.
it's staid or old
Yeah, no,
fashioned or
definitely
different.
not.
So that's the thing. We're coming down to our last 20 seconds here is that when you go out to take a look at lighting, really walk around the store, right? Really explore your options because lighting has changed probably
Yes.
more significantly than anything else, and lighting has become a lot more of a statement.
Yes.
So embrace the statement.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with me
Thank
today.
you.